That is correct. We are back. This is episode number 55 of the Del Valley Sports Pod. I am Colin Berger alongside Dan Glasser III, aka DG3. We are here to talk some Philly sports. How you feeling, Dan?
I feel great. I feel really great after Sunday night. Since Sunday night, for whatever reason, I've been feeling really great. Haven't been able to put my finger on it, but
Is
how
it
about
because
yourself?
the Eagles are 9-2, winners of 7 straight, and are looking like the best team in football? You think might that have something to do with it?
Didn't even cross my mind, but I think it might be, Colin. I really do.
It's amazing how a football team and just what this team has done to our mindset, the mindset of any Eagles fan compared to what it was 2 months ago. It is so far night and day from where it was to where it is now. It is incredible. I want to talk about it, but I think first things first, the irony that this is episode number 55 is literally giving me goosebumps right now. If you didn't hear already, then you're probably not an Eagles fan. Brandon Graham, torn tricep, out for the rest of the season in what was supposed to be his swan song. This sucks, man. And he had his best game of the season by
He
far.
he had an unbelievable game, and people are saying that you're seeing some stuff that are like he's had an unbelievable season. I wouldn't say he's had like I don't know if he's even had like a Pro Bowl type season as a whole. He's had a really good season, especially in the context of what we expected coming from him. Um, Sunday was the greatest BG game I think we've seen in a really long time. And that's not because he's been bad. It's just because he was dominating. He was the best defensive line. Well, he get it's tough, right? Because you get a lot of help from guys like Jalen Carter. Jalen Carter is not necessarily on the stat sheet every week, but if you break down the film, he is eating up multiple defenders. He's set. That's why you're seeing a lot of Milton in the middle too with success, is because Carter is just eating guys alive and help. But on the outsides, dude, Graham was unbelievable against the tackles. Huge sack, huge tackle for losses. One that I don't think he got credit for, but he could have, right? Where he basically slowed the running back up 7 yards back, and they ended up getting for a loss of 3. He was unbelievable. And it was all game too. It wasn't like a first half, second half thing. It was all game. He was lights out.
Yeah, and after a game like that, to have him be out for the rest of the season, one, it sucks for him. I mean, one of the most long tenured Eagles ever, of an absolute fan favorite, the most charismatic guy ever, won us the Super Bowl with his strip sack. And seriously, I think like his play Sunday was, it might have been his best game since 2017. Uh, it sucks for him. And honestly, this is a pretty big blow because if he was playing like this at the age he was, that is way more production than they were ever expecting out of him. And now with Bryce Huff's out. I forget for how
Yeah.
long, but
Oh, he
they're
had
they're weak on the edge
surgery,
now.
correct?
Yeah, yeah. Jalix Hunt. We'll see what the third round draft pick has to offer because he's pretty much the next man up. It is good to see that other guys like Milton Williams, Moro Ojomo, they're both playing pretty well. Milton Williams is playing great, actually. And
Yeah.
Jalen Carter refuses to be stopped. Well, actually, you can stop him. You just need to hold him on every
Yeah.
play.
They could
That's
be they could
the
be calling some more holds against him. That's for sure.
that's the
That's
only way
for
to
sure.
stop him is hold him. And Baldy did his breakdowns. Is like, yeah, just hold him on every play. That's the only
Yeah.
way you're going to stop him.
Yeah, the Eagles are having a really good season, especially as the line play goes, because Baldy, like, it feels like half of his videos on Instagram this year are Eagles videos. He's obsessed with both the offense and the defensive line. If that's the case, if you're seeing a lot of your team on Baldy's breakdowns, that's a good sign most of the time.
You're damn
But
right it is.
and I want to hop on here, and I don't think we were going this route and make this like oh, this is the last of BG and make this a sad thing, because we're going to see lots of BG. Sometimes players, yeah, and he kind of said this. There's been a lot of interviews with him after the fact that were really cool and just like classic BG. And I think he had one with WIP where he was like kind of sad, but he had lots of others who were like, listen, don't be sad for me. I'm going to be out there. BG's not going to disappear. We're going to probably see him on the sideline every single game. Some players get injured. and they're like, where'd that guy go? Where are they just at home watching every game now? BG's going to be out there. Shoot, he's still going to be talking crap to the other team every single game, I'm sure, even though he's not going to be suited up for it. But I tell you what, and this was even before the injury occurred during that game, I was thinking, like, we always talk about that moment in the Super Bowl with BG. Obviously, that doesn't get overlooked at all. But do you think we've overlooked BG in terms of his whole career as an Eagle and just how consistent he's been and how just great of a personality and like how great of a leader? And he's been one of those guys that like pumps up Philly and he's involved with things. Like I was just thinking about that during the game. If sometimes we kind of like maybe don't fully appreciate how I just is it 15 years? No way. Is it 15 years?
2010. This was his 14th year, I believe.
Okay. I mean, and he's just been solid. He's been solid in like every aspect, really. And he's always bringing the energy. One of the more likable Eagles ever, I would say.
Absolutely. I think after the Super Bowl, it became more apparent of how important he was and how much of a fan favorite he was. But you're kind of right. I feel like he was never universally loved or worshipped the way that Kelsey or Cox were.
Mm-hmm.
He never quite got there because he was never a like best at his position. But that's not to say that he hasn't been one of the best for a consistent period of time of 14 years. Never bitches, never complains. You never hear a bad thing about him. I don't know what he's going to do next year. I haven't heard, but I wouldn't be surprised if he comes back. He tries to give it a shot.
I wouldn't either.
I wouldn't be surprised. Now I'm kind of rooting for it now.
Was I not paying attention in the beginning? Did you address the number episode we're on?
Yes, this is episode number
I'm sorry,
55.
I totally
no,
paying
you're good.
attention. Crazy. That's just crazy that this just happens to be 55.
Yeah,
it's unbelievable.
Like I said, I was typing it in. I was like, what episode? Oh my God. This can't be.
Crazy.
I had a realization. I'm like, this is episode 50. Of all episodes, it's 55. Unreal.
Wow.
Unreal. Okay. BG, we love you. I hope he's back next year. Defense is playing great. But we had something that has never been done before by really anybody on Sunday. Saquon Barkley has 2 70-yard touchdown runs, ran for 255, 300 franchise record, 302 all-purpose yards. Dan, I've heard and I've listened to and I've consumed everything I could about this man, and I am so happy that we have him on this team. Yeah. I know you have some stats you want to get to, so I'm going to let you have at it.
Yeah, and I'm going to try. I got a lot of tabs open right now because that's the kind of game, the kind of season it's been for him. I'll start with this. That game, just in total scrimmage yards, he landed with 302. This is kind of crazy to me. That is 9th all time for any player at any position for most scrimmage yards in a single game. That's pretty mind blowing. You haven't looked this up, have you?
I might have heard it. I'm not sure where you're going with. So
on this list, who's number one with most scrimmage yards in a single game all time?
Chris Johnson.
No.
Jim Brown.
No.
Is it Eric Dickerson?
It's not. It's Flipper Anderson.
Who? Okay. I don't even know who that guy is.
Flipper Anderson, 336 yards. He's a wide receiver. He did it in 89. But I'm looking at this list, and as far as the top 9 goes, because Barkley is 9, I see 2 running backs in front of him, Priest Holmes and Josh Jacobs. So it looks like as far as the running back position, it's 3rd most all-time from the numbers I'm looking at, which is wild. That's obviously all-time stats. That's not just Eagles stats. So that's pretty freaking cool. And obviously most of those were on the ground. So I didn't look it up, but I wonder most rushing yards in a single game. He's obviously has to be top 3 then.
No. I think I heard he was top 10. Adrian Peterson, wow. I'm tripping over my words because I'm so excited. Adrian Peterson has the record of 296 rushing yards.
Oh, yeah, no, that's right, because he did have a lot of receiving yards. I wasn't For some reason, I thought most of those yards were rushing, but he did have like 40, 50 receiving yards, didn't he?
Yeah, I think he had 57 receiving yards.
Oh,
If that
yeah.
math,
Wow.
if
I
that
didn't
math
realize
is
he had
mathing,
that
40,
many.
47
No,
receiving
you're right.
yards.
You're right. But okay, so as far as Eagles in a single game, you've probably seen this already. He broke the record for the most rushing yards in a single game for an Eagle
Yes, sir.
by a lot, by the way, by 38 yards. We kind of have already talked about this. The guy that did hold that record was Shady McCoy
Yep.
with 217. So that's 255 now. By the way, of course, a video goes out, a viral, another Saquon Barkley viral video. What does he do? He goes to every single lineman. We broke it. We broke the record. We broke the record. This guy, he's. How can you not be selfish in that moment? No, we broke the record. We did it, guys. We did it. He's just the best, okay? And that year was 2013 that LaShawn McCoy had that, 217. That was the year 2013 where McCoy broke the single season record for rushing yards in a year with 1,607. As it stands right now, Barkley is fifth on that list for rushing yards in a single season by an Eagle with 1,392. He's like 20 yards away from being third place in that, and he's still got, 5 games to go. So he's on pace for that. It's gotten to a point where you're starting to think like, the magic number with running backs, right? The magic number is 2,000.
Yeah.
You don't really see it anymore, and that's like the big. If a running back's going to get MVP, he's got to get 2,000 rushing yards, right?
It's gotten to the point
close.
It's gotten to the point in the NFL. He's not going to win the MVP unless he breaks Eric Dickerson's record. I think that's in my opinion.
I don't know. We'll see. I think if he keeps up with a little bit of receiving yards on the side as well, just because it fills him out maybe a little bit more. But I don't know. I mean, I think maybe you would say the same thing about the Ravens with Derrick Henry, but they still had Lamar Jackson, who was doing some crazy things. That was the Titans actually when he got close to the. Yeah, that's tough. If Derrick Henry with the Titans offense when he got 2K or close to it didn't win MVP, it's going to be hard for Saquon because Henry very much was that offense.
Yes.
But I don't know. There's not a ton of competition. I think that it's Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson, and Lamar's been Josh Allen's been pretty solid. There's a chance. There's a chance.
Oh, there's absolutely a chance. I believe he is third behind those two guys as far as the odds go. 5-1 odds currently, if I'm reading that or saw that correctly this morning. I think the number he needs to get to is Dickerson's number at 2105. I don't
2105.
That's the all-time. That's the all-time. Woo. And he did that in 16 games. What also I'm looking at the list right now is crazy. OJ ran for 2,000 yards in 14 games.
That's wild.
That's a injury. 143 yards per game for OJ Simpson in 1973. Jeez. Unreal.
That's amazing.
Given that he has 17 games, Saquon Barkley is currently on pace to break Dickerson's record in one extra game and also get very close to Chris Johnson's all-time scrimmage yards in a season. Also, real quick, I just want to touch on this. When McCoy ran for 217, you remember what game that was, right?
It was the snow game.
Yes, sir. The Snow Bowl.
Yeah, the Snow Bowl. Had one of those last week in Cleveland.
Yeah. Oh, that was so much fun to watch.
Beautiful.
That was cool. Beautiful. That was really cool.
The more I see those snow games as of late, I kind of wonder if sometimes it benefits. Maybe it's not the more I see. Maybe I draw from that McCoy game, and I wonder if it maybe benefits the offense because you know where you're going and you're pushing forward, and everyone's slipping, but at least you dictate where you go, and the defense is kind of responding. I don't know. The offenses kind of took off a little bit in the second half of that game, even though the wind and the snow was acting wild. And obviously the McCoy game was wild snowfall, and he ran for the most all time up until this last weekend.
I think absolutely the snow helps the offensive player because he knows which direction he's going to go, and defense is completely reactionary. If you can't pivot or get grip to react to what's going on in front of you. Obviously, you have the lesser hand. Did you see? Again, love Rube's crazy stats. I heard this earlier in the week. Didn't know that Rube also put it out. Some Hall of Fame running backs never had a 70-yard touchdown in their career. Saquon had 2 in one half. Would you like me to rattle off some of these names?
Yeah, let's hear
These are Hall of Fame running backs that have never had a 70-yard touchdown run. Terrell Davis, Walter Payton, Eric Dickerson, Emmitt Smith, Thurman Thomas, Marcus Allen, Gale Sayers. Ever.
He lost me at Mikhail Sayers.
No, Gale Sayers.
Oh.
Sorry. Gale Sayers. None of those guys ever had a 70-yard touchdown. He had 2 in one half.
And may I add?
Yes.
If I'm ready. I'm going to go Eagles rushing team stats a little bit here, and you can maybe look up and tell me how many are specifically Saquon. But the Eagles lead all of the NFL with 40-plus runs, with 6. The next is the Ravens and Cardinals tied for second with 4. They have 6 rushes that are 40-plus yards.
Mm-hmm.
We can assume that those are all probably Saquon Barkley, correct?
Maybe there's a Jalen or maybe
40?
one. Yeah, maybe not. They're probably all Barkley.
That's crazy. 6 of them, 2 more than the next team. I think that's wild. I haven't looked up like stats from last year. I'm gonna find this out here. Now we got to know.
Well, I will tell you that Barkley has 500 scrimmage yards in the last 2 games. That's the first time any player has done that since Walter Payton in 1977. I mean, we're talking. I don't know if it was you or I, but we were talking at the beginning of the season. One of us said that I think Saquon Barkley could have a record-breaking season, and I'm going to go back and find that audio. I knew this was going to be a really good season for him if he could stay healthy, which clearly he has.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that I thought it was going to be this good. I didn't see 300 yards of offense in one game coming.
If we knew it was going to be this good, nobody would have been worried about signing a running back to a big deal. And not that everybody was, but people were a little worried.
Yeah, especially because the Eagles don't do that.
Right. And the last time they did, it backfired, right? And you think, listen, this offensive line is so good, you can kind of put anyone back there. And that's true to some degree, I think. But look at this next level we've reached. So Saquon Barkley does have 6 40-plus, 6 rushes for 40-plus yards. Next is Derrick Henry with 3.
Okay.
Pretty amazing. And that's how they started the second half. They bust a 70-yard run on to start the second half. Geez. It's like, that was something that the Rams talked about all halftime long is stopping the run and Barkley. And then first play? What?
Yeah.
That's amazing. And then, by the way, Dickerson's out there reaching the second level. Bing. You got Britton Covey in on that play. I was like, Britton Covey's starting the second half here. And he seals the deal by blocking down, I forget if it was the corner or the safety. And then Barkley is gone. Give me the top speed on that run, by the way. Jeez.
His ability
to robot run.
His ability to make people miss, and this has been like this since he was at Penn State. He has that ability to change direction and duck under people and completely go 90 degrees in a fraction of a second. There are very few people, if any, in the NFL right now that can do that. Some people, we've seen that in the past, like Chris Johnson was one of those when he was at his peak. We've seen guys do it, but he's got to be the best at it right now, I think.
Well, you're starting to get used to seeing it, right? Because normally when you see a running back and he kicks out or whatever, and there's a defender there, you go, it didn't hit on this play. But it happened numerous times in the Rams when he's stopped in the backfield. Jukes the guy, spins around, follows the offensive line, 6-yard gain. There was one where he bumped it out to the right. It was linebacker, cornerback was right there, and he's getting to the sideline. There's nowhere to run. He fakes inside, and then he bumps outside, stiff arms the guy, and he runs for a 7-8 yard gain. I don't think I'm seeing maybe Derrick Henry, although not as much. Maybe I would say on the outsides of with that stiff arm, he's pretty deadly. But the strength and speed combo allows him to get those extra yards, and not just 1 or 2 yards, but in those cases, I'm not losing a yard or I'm not running for no gain. I'm running for 6 yards. It's unbelievable. And it keeps these drives going. And it's so demoralizing to the defense because even when they do play it well and they do have it covered up, he still finds a way to get by guys and get yards. How demoralizing is that? We played it right and then we couldn't freaking tackle the guy. And here they are a couple yards away from the first down anyways.
Every single week you see at least 5 plays where it looks like Saquon's going to be tackled for a loss or like no gain. And he somehow spins out, makes one guy miss, takes it for 6 yards. One play that stuck out to me was Hurts drop back. They got a lot of pressure up the front. Saquon hits the corner and then is like, oh, Jalen's running for his life. Let me go get him. Catches the ball and takes that for what, like 10 yards. I was like, that is, you don't have that anywhere else. That's how good this guy is. It's situational awareness and the athleticism to make it happen.
It's that added layer of the high IQ, right? Situational awareness and quick thinking. Because on that play, I'm sure it's the same play I'm thinking of, he went to pick up the block and kind of got binged back a little bit, kind of spun around a little bit. You'd think a little bit disoriented to think. I don't think that you could understand how any of us could understand how hard it is to immediately kind of like reorient to situation. And he very quickly is like, oh, trying to pick up the block again. Oh, no, not there. Oh, shoot. I can be a receiver. Like, I got you. Catches that ball, and then, runs for 10 yards. Like, that is some quick thinking. And another high IQ play I saw, and this is apart from all the incredible routes he takes running the ball, was the one play that Hurts ended up, it was kind of an extended play. Hurts ended up rolling out to the right side. And then Barkley, I'd love to see the all-22 on this and how he got to this part, but he ends up at the sideline and he gets the one leg down, literally gets the shin down by the sideline to make sure he's in bounds, catches the ball, kind of like baseball style almost, like an outfielder trying to get a ground ball right on the sideline there and catches it for, I can't remember if it was either first down or close to it. Just high IQ and high awareness, like very quickly in high stress moments. He's just, we talk about it every week. We're beating the horse type thing here, although it's more like beating the ram. But it's what he brings to the table, and he's so dynamic, so multidimensional. It's like every aspect. So we had the one little worry earlier in the game. I want to guess it was like second quarter. It's like in sports when someone gets hurt, and then you realize it's just they got hit in the balls. Yeah. And you're like, oh, thank goodness. I mean, oh, geez, that's got to hurt. But
Tarico's like, yeah, he'll be fine. He just needs to walk this one off a little bit.
That's the best part when an athlete, when you're watching sports, gets hit in the balls is like you usually realize it like a little bit earlier than the commentators do. Or maybe they're just trying to find like the words. And then how they approach it is always just so funny. How are they going to go about describing that?
Yeah, because they got to be so PC with it, but that's what makes it hilarious. Like, you can't just say, oh, he got hit in the nuts.
Yeah, right.
Which would be hilarious, but obviously you can't do that on national television.
A couple team rushing stats just to close this up here. I know I'm going on about all the stats here, but
hey, we have the best player in the NFL right now. We should be giving him all the flowers.
And listen, and this is how it goes, right? It's all the flowers for the most part. 75% of them we're gonna talk Saquon. Dude, I'm telling you, if you're just bored on a weekday and you want to watch something cool, just pull up the film and watch this offensive line do crazy stuff. And just, there's a reason. It's not just because he's a good guy. There's a reason why Saquon is so thankful to everyone on that line is because he's been on teams with really freaking crappy lines. And I don't think he can believe some of the blocking and holes he's getting in front of him. And sometimes they run... I don't know offensive line play like to the point where I could coach it, but they're running some wild stunts, man. They're doing some crazy things. I think they're confusing a lot of defenses. And the offensive line is just blocking their tails off. And it's been, my lot is back out there now, but it's also been the other guys that have had to step in, and they've done a pretty good job too. Stoutland is I tell you, who should be getting his flowers? It's Stoutland. But to get us to the team rushing stats, just to bring us home here. So I said this is Eagles team rushing stats, not specific to Barkley. But we talked about the 40 plus rushes. They're second in all of football with rushes for 20 plus yards with 16. Ravens lead that with 19. As a team, they lead the league in rushing touchdowns with 22. And by the way, just a quick side note, people talk all the time about how, I feel like we talk a lot about how Barkley gets a lot of touchdowns stolen from him because of the Hurts and tush push and all that. He's still fourth. He's still tied for fourth with 10 touchdowns, with 10 rushing touchdowns. Hurts having 11, but he's still getting touchdowns. And I believe that, as far as this is more maybe the MVP thing, but I believe he also has 2 receiving touchdowns. And then as a team, the Eagles are second in all of football with rushing yards. They have 2,127. They have such a lead at second place. The next team isn't even close. The Ravens just have a few more than them. And then the last thing I want to point out, and I think that this is huge and cannot be overstated. The Eagles lead the league in rushing attempts by a significant margin. They have rushed the ball 409 times. Next is the Steelers with 377. And in the same way that they've rushed the ball 409 times, not even close, far more than anybody else, they're tied for fifth, and it's a lot of teams have this many, with only 3 rushing fumbles. You wouldn't expect that, right? You'd think the more you rush it, obviously the higher chance you have of fumbling the ball. But for them to rush it that frequently and to have that good ball control and to be that good at holding on to the ball, obviously you get extremely annoyed any time. And one of those fumbles, by the way, should have been called back a couple games ago when Saquon had the 1 fumble. So that should be a 2. But I digress. That's huge, right? If you're going to run the ball that much, the one concern is obviously you want to make sure you hold on to the ball. They're holding on to the ball, not turning the ball over, despite how much they're running it. And I think that is a little hidden gem that I just had to point out.
I would like to go so far as to say that this offense has become unstoppable. When they are at their full tilt, when you have Hurts, AJ, Devontae, Goddard, and Saquon all on the field healthy together, I don't think this offense can be stopped. You will not be able to keep this team to under 27 points. I can't believe the 180 I have taken on this team. And obviously, the team has taken a 180. I was ready to say they weren't going to make the playoffs after they went to the Browns. I will go so far as to say the Eagles are going to the Super Bowl. I believe that. In my core, I think they are better than the Detroit Lions are. I think maybe I'll put it this way, if the Eagles get home field advantage, there's no question they're going to the Super Bowl. I still think when we get there, and I don't want to bypass the rest of the season because this is so much fun, but that's where I am right now. I think that the Eagles are the best team in the NFC and might be the best team in football. The BG loss hurts a little bit, but they're just so good. This team is as good as 2017 was, if not better, in my opinion.
I guess my pushback on that is, yes, this offense at times can seem unstoppable, but man, they are a heck of a lot more stoppable when they're missing one of those guys.
Yes.
Hurts has shown time and time again that you can't just put a new guy in there and he feels just as comfortable throwing the ball. Look at his stats. His stats are, I'm giving all of my targets to Smith and Brown and Goddard. Now, Calcaterra actually kind of broke that mold a little bit, which was interesting. But no one else, you could say Britton Covey, but I don't know that that's really fair to count that in the game or two that he was in.
That was an outlier.
This is like every game. You got Saquon, or sorry, well, yeah, Barkley had 4 catches. Goddard had 4. Brown had 6. The only other catch was one by Dotson. That's it. Because the actually one of those passes on an RPO to Dotson was behind the line of scrimmage, so I actually think they might have called that a run because I only have him down for 1 catch. But yeah, that's that is concerning to me, right? Because we've seen this when Smith goes down or when Brown goes down, Hurts his passing and his comfortability in the pocket. I will say that was a really big negative this last game. When Hurts was just chilling in the pocket, even when he had time, he looked incredibly uncomfortable to me. He looked like, someone make me move out of the pocket, please. Like, he did not look good in the pocket. When he rolled out, he looked good, but he didn't look very confident in the pocket, even when he had some time to throw.
Yeah, I think the Rams made a really concerted effort to keep him in the pocket and not let him get outside. They kept the pressure, they kept him in the pocket with the defensive ends, and also the pass blocking wasn't the best this game. Whenever they're running straight downhill, run blocking, they're killing people. They're moving the line of scrimmage 5 yards down the field. But when they're in pass protection, you're right. I mean, they're not, I guess, not the best that we've seen, but still, when you have the
I don't know. I thought he had a pretty good amount of time to, if you start looking at like the time to throw stat, I feel like it was not awful. I really do. But, that's what I'm saying. I think that when there's games where you have both Smith and Brown out there, I do think he looks more comfortable. I do think he looks more confident and willing to hum that thing. But one of those guys goes down, we see a little bit of a different version of Hurts.
You know what? I agree with you, because when you have AJ and Devontae, he knows he trusts those two guys. He clearly doesn't trust Dotson. Mm-hmm. And then after that, I mean, you don't really have anybody other than Goddard. But that's what I'm saying. When they have all five of those guys, I don't think that there's going to be a defense that can hold them to under 27. And I think our defense is good enough to hold the Lions to around that same point if and when we get to that game down the road.
Yeah. And then the other hole that I would mention is just, you mentioned BG a little bit, but the defensive end position, I do think that could be something that could catch up with us a little bit, if I'm being honest, right? I mean, we already were having some struggles at the beginning of the year. Things have gotten much better. Sweat is playing better. BG obviously was playing outstanding. And Huff was playing better from the first several weeks, obviously. But now we have Sweat and Nolan Smith. Who else is out there right now, pal? Huh?
Not many.
And no offense to those guys, but those guys aren't superstars to begin with, So that, I do think that is could turn into a significant area of concern. I really do.
Yeah, and there's not an edge rusher just waiting on the street for them to sign like they did, D tackles a couple years ago.
What's Shaq Leonard up to?
Well, yeah, I saw he was coming out of retirement, and everybody wants to. I'm serious. Yeah, that came out today. Shaq Leonard is unretiring.
I did not know that. I did not.
Yes.
Know that.
Wow. I thought you. That is crazy.
No.
That came across the wire today. I saw Schefter tweet it out. Shaq Barrett is unretiring. The thing is, though, the Dolphins have his rights. So.
Oh no.
Yeah. Yeah. Unfortunately,
sorry,
they have
Shaq. Sorry. You were great once.
The Dolphins have his rights, so I don't know what they're gonna do there. We'll see. But that name was brought up, and he's the only guy that is probably just out there on the street. But we were talking about all these stats, and the other team that was brought up in every single conversation was the Ravens. Is this not going to be one of the most intriguing and fun football games we're going to get to watch at 4:25 on Sunday?
Yeah. Yeah, that is funny. That was a hell of a segue. You must be doing this. This must be episode 55. That was a well done segue right there, buddy.
Thank you, sir. This is not my first rodeo.
Good transition. Yeah,
it is this many freaking clowns, though. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, it's. Yeah, I haven't. I've honestly, I haven't really gotten there yet too much, just because. Breaking down the film and like really just looking up all these stats and embracing this last game. But did you watch the Ravens play yesterday at all?
No, I didn't get to. I was actually at the Flyers game last night.
That's right. So
Didn't get to see a lot. I saw some highlights, but that's about it.
I think an area where we can really have the Ravens number is with the secondary. Um, their wide receivers have been like pretty disappointing. They drop the ball a lot. Zay Flowers is like super fast and like gimmicky, but I think that maybe there was more expectations that he could be like a number one wide receiver when they got him. And I don't know that he's that guy now. So I feel good about that. But what we bring up, all the rushing stats, right?
Yeah.
Can this team shut down there? It feels like a game where each team is going to be fighting for we're the tougher team, we can run the ball down your throats type thing, right? That's what it feels like. And it feels like, man, if we can get a step ahead, we'll have such an advantage because it will further allow us to do that and not force us into a position where we have to pass the ball a little bit more and go in other directions. Yeah, wow. What a matchup.
This could very well be the game of the year in the regular season. I know everybody wanted to say it was the Chiefs Bills a couple weeks ago, which I mean it was still a great game, but when you take strength on strength like you're going to see this weekend, Derrick Henry going against, which I'm trying to find out here, is I think the one of the best rushing defenses in the NFL. Sixth, I'm seeing right now. The Eagles have the sixth best rushing defense in the NFL. The Ravens defense is second, 935. You have strength on strength there. What's going to give? The other thing is the Ravens have one of the worst passing defenses. A lot of that was the first few games of the season when they got like torched by the Raiders. So
yeah, they still haven't. That defense has not been a typical Ravens defense. It's been weird to see, but their defense has not been very good at pass rush. So that your secondary already isn't like the greatest. Hamilton back there is pretty good, and they still have what's the guy Humphreys? That's kind of like the slot guy.
Yeah.
But add the fact that they can't get to the quarterback, that makes everything that much worse. And their run D hasn't been that great, I don't think. Do you still have the run defense stats up for the team?
Yeah. The Ravens have allowed the third fewest yards, and they have the best yards per carry, which I think sometimes is a better indicator because it's not total yardage. It's because that's game script. If the team's not running a lot because they're down, then you're not going to have, which the Ravens have done. They've gotten up on teams.
So the run D's been stout for them.
Yes. Yeah. The Eagles are ninth. I think if I'm doing my counting, ninth in yards per carry at 4.3. So still pretty good. The one thing I guess I'm worried about, and I'm less worried now based on what Sirianni has done and what this offense as a whole has done over the last 7 weeks, is if they do get down early, say they get down 10-0 early, are they still going to be resolute in running the football and sticking with their game plan of like, okay, we run the football regardless? And I think that's the only way the Eagles don't win this game is if they get down early.
And we talked about the edges too. You got the fastest quarterback in all the league. I feel like there's a big emphasis on, I'm sure they're going to have linebackers spying him, maybe Reed Blankenship spying him at safety, but also these defensive ends, right? And not just giving him an opportunity to break big runs as well. That's a big emphasis on the defense as well. We'll see the Ravens, just on Ravens. One of their best players, I think, on the defensive side is Roquan Smith, who obviously is pretty stout, would probably go up against Goddard a lot and be pretty effective in the run defense. He's been hurt lately, and he didn't play. Again, he didn't play in this last game. That'd be a big win if he didn't play in this game. Wouldn't mind that.
Yeah, that would definitely help the Eagles out. No question there. This is a team that the Eagles have not played. They haven't played a team this good all year, especially a team that is this dynamic. And I would say that the Eagles and Ravens are the top two in that category when you have a quarterback like Lamar or Jalen, and then the two best running backs in the league. It's funny how similar these teams are and how big this matchup is going to be to show where these teams are in comparison to each other. Because, opposite conferences, it's like the Ravens, Chiefs, Bills, and then the Eagles, Lions. Like this is what do they call it? A measuring stick game? This is a big measuring stick game. Like, is this Eagles team really as good as we think it is? Or is it because they've been playing teams like the Rams and the Bengals? But I mean, like, the Bengals have one of the best offenses in sports, and they held them to 17 points. They've done well against other teams' strengths.
Can I make a prediction?
Yes, you can.
This Sunday, Quinyon Mitchell is going to get his first career interception.
Oh boy, I hope so.
He will.
He's so overdue. I love that. Let's will it into existence, huh?
It's going to happen.
I sure hope it. I hope it does.
I really believe that. I really do. I think that he is better than the competition. And I think Lamar Jackson has been a little bit sloppy throwing the ball. And I think that it's his time.
Yeah.
Keep an eye out for it.
Some things that are just kind of coming up off the top of my head here. We touched on a little bit. Keeping Lamar Jackson in the pocket is going to be big. We need pressure up front from Jalen Carter, but we also need to make sure that he doesn't get outside, because that's when he's going to beat us.
Yeah.
The other thing is if Darius Slay can't play, that is going to be a big problem.
Yeah.
Isaiah Rodgers didn't have the best showing once Slay went out.
Screwed on that. PI was a brutal PI call.
Yes, I agree.
That was and that would have ended that drive basically. That was a pretty brutal PI, and we do have to say that punch out, that fumble, that's not Isaiah Rodgers' forced fumble, was it not?
Yeah, no, it was. I trust him a lot less than I trust Darius Slay, and if Slay can't go, that it's just that one thing that is clearly going to go in the Ravens' favor.
Yeah.
Iceman here on YouTube says, hate to say it, but the Ravens rank second in lowest interception percentage.
Well, that will make the odds even better when you place that bet, my friend. I'm telling you, it's going to happen. I feel good about it. Less good now that you put that. I mean, that's a great pool, but I still like it. I don't know.
Well, now I'm curious. I'm pretty sure Lamar Jackson is leading the league in passing yards after last night, but I don't know how many interceptions he has on this season.
No way. Really? I would have guessed Joe Burrow for that.
Unless I'm wrong. I mean,
passing yards?
Yes, I believe that Lamar Jackson is leading the league in passing yards. I thought I heard that somewhere. I could be completely wrong. I'm going to look it up.
I'd be just surprised just because his receivers aren't very good at catching the ball. But I think you're right. I'm seeing that you're correct.
Yeah. And what's crazy, Geno Smith is in second.
Well, it's not really fair, though.
Because he's played 12 games.
Yeah, let's look at the games played here. Okay. All
right. In yards per game, Geno Smith is leading the league. It's unreal. I saw that yesterday. It was like passing yards leader, Geno Smith. What?
Joe Burrow's 0.5 away, right? So
yeah,
he's right there.
What? Brock Purdy's third in the NFL with yards per game at 261. This is
again,
unreal.
To bring it back here, I'm seeing that Lamar Jackson only has 3 interceptions this year and 27 touchdowns. Jeez. 27 touchdowns. I did not know that. I did not know he had 27 passing touchdowns. Wow.
Yeah, and he's got what? He's got to have at least 6 or 7 rushing touchdowns, right?
I'll tell you.
I'm trying to find all of this on the fly. Good thing we have a bunch of screens here.
He only has 3.
That surprises me.
Yeah, see, I kind of thought that just because when I was looking up the team with the most rushing touchdowns, the Ravens weren't up there with the Eagles, and that surprised me because I figured that it'd be a little bit similar to the Eagles' Barkley Hurts situation. But listen, it also explains maybe why he has 27 touchdowns, right? Is because he's throwing it for more. Right? It'd be tough to have 20. I mean, that'd be incredible if he had 27 freaking throwing touchdowns and like 6 rushing, and then Henry has 11 rushing or whatever it is. Henry has 13. Henry has 13 rushing touchdowns.
Yeah, so that's 30 total touchdowns responsible for by Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, that throws a little bit of a wrinkle into it. Let's try to make sure that Lamar Jackson doesn't kill us through the air.
Yeah.
And
you
on
changed the script already.
Well,
No.
he has like 600 rushing yards. So he hasn't been scoring touchdowns, but he is still running for a lot. And that's why he's leading the MVP conversation, because he has how many rushing yards plus passing yards too.
I haven't watched every single second of every single Ravens game, but I think part of it is it's really freaking hard to cover those receivers for as long as they need to, because nobody can buy time like Lamar Jackson, because A, you can't get to him to begin with, and B, you don't want to over pursue because you don't want to run him to run 20 yards behind you. So it's a really like fickle thing defending him. You know?
Yeah, that's what makes him dangerous. His ability to escape the pocket and allow his receivers to run all over the field and find space, which that's something that Hurts is good at, but Lamar is on another level when it comes to being mobile and on the run. I cannot wait for this matchup already. I'm excited. I don't even think we need to do thumbs up, thumbs down this week.
Oh, we do.
We do? Okay. All right.
We do.
All right, let's bust it out then. I'll let you go first.
Because it's too well earned. It's BG 55 on the BG episode. Thumbs up. Okay. 2 thumbs up, BG. I don't care if you also choose BG. It's Brandon Graham. Had an unbelievable game. The news freaking sucks. But he'll be out there. He'll still be a part of this team, and he'll still be a leader for this team. But man, that was just an unbelievable dominating game by Big 55.
And if it is by chance his last game, what one hell of a game to go out on too.
Mm-hmm.
That's fair. We got to give it up to BG. Hopefully this isn't the last time we see him in an Eagles uniform. And I obviously have to go the man of the hour, Saquon Barkley, because one of us has to, right?
One of us has to.
One of us has to.
We're going to have to recap at the end of the year to see how many thumbs up we gave Barkley over the span of the season.
I'm down. Yeah.
We'll have to do a leaderboard. It's a thumbs up, thumbs down leaderboard.
Well, they're over under 5.5 for Barkley. I'm gonna put it there.
All right. I like
probably over. Well, I guess we can't make bets on things we have control over because that's insider trading. That's frowned upon, Dan. So there's no over under, but I'm curious.
They'll keep you out of the Hall of Fame for that kind of crap, Colin.
Oh, they sure will. R.I.P. to that guy. Thumbs down. Do you wanna go first, or do you want me to?
I'll go. I already talked about it. I was like really concerned with Jalen Hurts in the pocket. And it's always weird when you do the thumbs down with Hurts, and we've talked about this before, because he had obviously great moments and great plays. But man, I just hate how when you see those plays, when it feels like he has time in the pocket and he just is like waiting for an opportunity to roll out to the side because he's more comfortable and he doesn't feel confident finding his man downfield. It's not like a full thumbs down, but it's like, come on, Hurts.
Yeah, it's hard to not go. Lo-Fi Town on the stream says, sorry, BG, I'm going Barkley. I agree. But we do got to pay respect to the legend.
Rough, but respectful.
I think I got to go with the guy I talked about, Isaiah Rodgers. He's played well over the course of the season. I just saw him get – and I guess we also have to factor in the fact that they're playing against Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp.
Dude's awesome. Puka is freaking good.
He's great.
The diving catch he made.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But also the throw by Stafford on that.
Well, yeah, it's a great throw, but it's only a great if he didn't have one of the greatest wide receivers that could make that catch, you'd probably go, oh, he threw it outside a little bit too far.
Yeah.
To be fair. I mean, that was PI on that play. He was held a little bit, not a lot, not egregiously, but he was held, and then he still willed his body laterally and made that catch in bounds. Are you kidding me, dude?
That's an unreal find by them to get Puka while they already had Cooper Kupp.
Unreal.
I mean, that's like the Eagles getting DeJean and Quignon in the same draft.
I'll give, and I'll turn it back to you, but I'll give the Rams a lot of credit. I thought when they made that trade years ago and they gave all those first round picks away, right? They said we want a Super Bowl. And I thought it was the move then. If you can chase a Super Bowl and get yourself a Super Bowl, it's worth it to, like, in my opinion, to sell like that future stuff. Let's freaking get one. But they did. They sold off a lot of those first round picks. And they've had to be really, really good in the mid to later rounds. And the fact that they're still relevant shows that they have been really good. They've been picking their spots and been really good in the draft at not like high value spots there. Pretty impressive.
Yeah. It's very hard to win any championship, but especially in the NFL when you're playing in an era of Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid, who, if I'm not mistaken in what I heard, it was since 2014, there's been 3 Super Bowls not won by people named Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes.
Freaking crazy.
Yeah. 3. The Rams and the Eagles are 1 and 2, and then the third is escaping me right now. But
someone's got to drop the comment. Someone knows that. Someone's got to know that.
It's been 10 years, and there's been 3 Super Bowls not won by those guys. So they're hard to come by when you go from one GOAT to the next GOAT. And props to them for selling out. They did it. I think what the Eagles is doing is even more impressive in the fact that they haven't mortgaged the future to get a Super Bowl. They've gotten one. They've been back to another, and they might go back to a third in the span of 7 years. Excuse me.
You are on that hype train. Choo choo, all aboard.
I'm like I said, I'm going to enjoy every game from here on out, but I've seen enough from this team over 7 games coming from where they were to where they are now. Super Bowl or bust for me. If they don't make it there, unless it's some
all aboard,
epic,
next stop New Orleans.
Yes. Choo choo to French Quarter.
Jeez. Got a lot. You clearly forget how the end of last season went.
But that's the thing, Dan. This is not last season. They were 10-1, and we were like, they still don't look good. Since I brought up the fact that they haven't beaten anybody by this many points since.
That is true. We got to get the sign up.
Damn it. We do need to get that up.
No, I think about that every time since they've won a game by double digits. I think that's so
there it is.
Weird.
Yeah, the one I was forgetting was the Denver Broncos and Peyton Manning.
Yeah,
but again, another absolute GOAT.
Yeah. Well, that was like the funniest. You talk about that Super Bowl, and I don't want to get too off the rails here, but it's like Peyton is one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, one of the greatest quarterbacks of our generation. But that Super Bowl, the guy could not throw the ball more than 10 yards, and they still won that game because of his, I assume, big giant brain just check down after check down.
It was because of Demaryius Thomas, RIP, and Von Miller. That's why.
And the like 2 or 3 running backs that they just shuffled through and just like, and that defense was something else. But yeah.
Also, food for thought here. Peyton Manning and Lamar Jackson have very similar career trajectories where they've come up against their foe, Lamar in Mahomes, Peyton in Brady, where they've been outstanding statistically, multiple time MVPs. They just haven't gotten through to do it. Peyton eventually did. I'm curious to see if Lamar will. Both Peyton and Lamar won multiple MVPs before winning their first Super Bowl. So, I don't know. Are we looking at a Super Bowl preview here, Dan? I got to go soon, but I'll throw that question out here.
No, I really don't. I really don't believe in the Ravens' defense. I really don't.
I think that's their limiting factor.
They've been really bad, man. And the thing is, like, I think that it is more than just. I think that they lost talent that they had, and their offensive line hasn't been as good this year. Now, how can I say that when you look at the Derrick Henry stats and the Lamar stats? Maybe that's not as warranted, but the defense has been bad, and I don't know. The Ravens have a lot of weird games where they blow. Remember the Ravens-Cowboys game this year?
Yeah.
That was not even close, and then for some reason the Cowboys almost came back, like literally almost won that game. I don't know. There's something about that team that feels like you can't quite trust them, and a lot, I think, has to do with the defense. And the offense, I feel like there's a decent bit of games where the offense is like night and day from one half to the next.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess you could spin that into a positive, right? You could do the whole like, we were able to get out of our slumber, we were able to like make adjustments, whatever. But I don't know. I don't know if I believe in the Ravens defense enough. But yeah, we'll see how Sunday goes. Maybe they'll make a believer out of me. Hopefully not.
I cannot wait for Sunday now. And the sad part is it's only Tuesday. But before we get out of here, I would like to be maybe the first, maybe the second, maybe the last to wish everybody out there a happy Thanksgiving. It's one of my favorite weeks of the year. I absolutely love Thanksgiving. If you started celebrating Christmas already, I get it, but you're wrong because Thanksgiving is way better. That's where I will die on that hill.
Why not both?
I will die on that hill.
Why not both?
Well, yeah, why not both? But people make you always choose one over the other. So
we're not making you choose, people. Enjoy both.
3 games on Turkey Day, and 2 of them are going to suck.
One's gonna be great because either way, it's gonna be kick your feet up and watch 2 of the worst teams in our division just look like 2 of the worst teams in our division.
Oh my! That's gonna
Cooper Rush taking on Tommy. Why is help me out here? The other guy, the other backup was
Drew Lock.
Why is he not this? Why is he not the starting quarterback?
He might be. Apparently, DeVito got injured and is not 100%. So Drew Lock actually might be playing this weekend on Thursday.
So he was the second string quarterback when Daniel Jones was the quarterback, but then he somehow remained the second string quarterback, and the third string became the first string.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense to me.
That's savage stuff. That's savage tanking stuff right there, man.
We could go a whole hour on how sad the Giants situation is. It's just enjoyable to watch that train wreck.
The one clip just keeps resurfacing every single week because Barkley keeps having like historic games, and then that clip resurfaces the first Monday of every week about that. I just hope he doesn't go to the Eagles from the owner or whoever it is.
John Mara, yeah.
Unbelievable, dude.
It's a script that you can't.
That's the last time we're letting cameras in here.
No team is ever going to agree to do Hard Knocks again after that. But all right, yeah, I got to head out here. Dan, right. Was there anything that we missed football wise? Anything on Thanksgiving? Do we need to talk about Saquon Barkley for another 20 minutes? Because we could.
Well, tune in next week and we'll talk more Saquon Barkley.
I hope so.
Go Birds. And shout out to the defensive coordinator for making really good adjustments in that game, by the way, putting up a 5-man front to help stop the run. We have good coaching and good players right now, and that, it turns out, leads to good results.
Damn right. The Eagles are 7-0 since you got married and Nick Sirianni shaved his head. So keep that ring on, and Nick, keep that head trimmed, because we might take this all the way to Bourbon Street. That's what I'm saying. I'm just saying. All right. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Dan, I love you. This has been a lot of fun. I can't wait for Sunday. Go Birds.
Go Birds. Happy Thanksgiving, brother.
And you too. And everybody out there, thank you. We will talk to you guys next week.